friends, welcome back to my channel. I have such a fun video to share with you guys today that I'm just far too excited about, but hopefully you'll be excited too. If you've hung around here for a little while, you guys probably know that I'm mostly a Kroger girl and a wholesale club girl. I do dabble in Aldi every so often, but one of the places that I don't shop at quite a bit is Publix, even though geographically it's actually the most convenient for me. But for me personally, I found that Publix prices are just wild. However, every time I share that with people, they tend to tell me, yeah, but if you take advantage of the Publix BOGO deals, then all of a sudden Publix is the best place to shop and you can get such a value for the price. Well, I wanted to put that to the test. So I took $80 and I went and only purchased BOGO items. So only the items that they were offering buy one, get one free at Publix. The thing with Publix BOGO that you need to know is that they generally offer anywhere from, I'd say 20 to 30 items that are part of the buy one, get one free, but they're incredibly random. It'll be like frozen fish sticks, cream cheese, blueberries, and barbecue sauce. So I was thinking it would be a lot of fun if I took some of those random ingredients and I tried my best to come up with as many meals as possible with that $80 Publix BOGO haul and see exactly how far we could go. So in this video, I'm sharing a breakfast idea, 2 snack ideas, and 6 different recipes that could be used for lunch or dinner. All of these were quick, easy, and affordable. So if you're looking for some inspiration for weeknight dinners that aren't gonna cause you a lot of stress, I have plenty to share with you in this video. If you happen to be new here, hi, how are you? How's the family? Thank you so much for clicking on that thumbnail and giving me a chance. My name is Kate. On this channel, I share a lot of recipe inspiration. So if you do struggle with ideas for meal planning, please feel free to check out the rest of my channel. I have plenty of content that'll help out with that. And if you enjoy the vibe while you're here, I would love it if you'd consider subscribing. We're gonna first start off with a little haul of everything that I bought so you can take a look at the ingredients that I was working with, and then we'll dive into all of the recipes. All of the recipes will also be listed down below, so if you wanna recreate any of those, you can find them there. Okay, friends, let's start off with a little haul of what we bought. This was just shy of $80. Only took advantage of the buy one, get one free items, and that's what's going to be contributing to our menu today. So we started off with crescent rolls. These were buy one, get one free. John grabbed the crescent grands in the original flavor, but there were a variety of ones you could pick out. Let me tell you the price, sorry. These were $4.19, buy one, get one free, so 2 for $4.19. Next up, we had the strawberries. These were on sale for $3.99. These are not organic, but they are produced right here in Florida, so that's pretty cool. Did I tell you that those are $3.99? I think so. Over here, we have some prosciutto. This was $5.99, buy one, get one free. We have some cavatappi from the brand Ronzoni. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. We went with buy one, get one free, same style pasta, but you could mix it up if you wanted to. And that pasta was $1.81. This Siggi's yogurt is actually a favorite of ours, and this was included in the buy one, get one free, and it was $5.99. 2 packs of grape tomatoes, buy one, get one free, $2.99. Mini bell peppers, buy one, get one free for $3.99. In the back here, we have some very large 45-ounce jars of ragu. We got a meat sauce and a traditional sauce, buy one, get one free, and they were $4.55. Next up, I don't do this a lot, but I did grab some canned soup, and these were buy one, get one free, large variety of soups you could pick out in it, and they were $3.35 in the buy one, get one free. Over here, some barbecue sauce. We actually love this brand. This is one of our favorite brands, so we grabbed Hickory Bourbon and Sweet Heat. These were $5.29, and shocker, I know, buy one, get one free. Some grape jelly. What are you doing here? $3.35, buy one, get one free. Some of this Kerrygold cheese slices, $6.99, buy one, get one free. That was kind of a splurge. Baby carrots were buy one, get one free, $1.99. We have some of this kielbasa right here. This was $5.99, buy one, get one free. They had these frozen options here from the brand McCain. And so we grabbed a bag of onion rings and a bag of French fries. And those were $5.49, and you can mix and match. So we did buy one, get one free. And then last but not least, we grabbed these bags of meatballs here. This is a 22-ounce bag of frozen meatballs. They are beef with garlic, onion, and paprika. Buy one, get one free. This was probably the priciest of everything I grabbed. They were $11.99. I do want to mention that if you wanted to, there was also ground chicken during this promotion and chicken breast. So that would have saved a little bit if I wanted to just make the meatballs myself using the ground chicken. However, I just was not feeling that. we're gonna take a shortcut and go with some frozen meatballs and everything's gonna be great. So this is everything that's gonna be going into the menu. Let's go make some magic happen. All right, friends, we are gonna start getting some dinner going in the crock pot and rice cooker. You could technically just put these carrots, I'm doing a 1 pound bag of baby carrot, by the way. You could just totally put that in the crock pot with the meatballs. When I've done that in the past, baby carrots take forever to soften up. So I personally just take the extra step of steaming them separately and then just mix them all together later. But if you're looking for a way to not have to do 2 pots, you could go that route. Now, the other thing that we're gonna be doing, this is so simple. We're just taking 3 ingredients and putting them directly in the crock pot. So I have a 22-ounce bag of frozen meatballs. These are beef meatballs that are flavored with garlic, onion, and paprika. I also have a bottle of this Stubbs barbecue sauce. We got the sweet heat flavor as well as the hickory bourbon during this extravaganza, during this BOGO event. However, I think sweet heat makes the most sense for these meatballs. And then I also have some grape jelly. So 3 ingredients are gonna be going in the crock pot over here. I like to put the sauce in first, that way I can stir it. I'm gonna do about half of this bottle because the bag of meatballs is not too big. Since the meatballs were part of buy one, get one free, we're gonna be using the meatballs in a different recipe. But if you did not wanna make multiple recipes, you could always just double this one. And then we're gonna do, I don't know, like 1/3 of a 20-ounce bottle of grape jelly. I measure with my heart here. I did probably about 8 ounces of the barbecue sauce and then like 6 to 7 ounces of the jelly if I had to guesstimate. So I just used a whisk to get that all worked together there. And then I'm just gonna toss that all to coat it. I'm gonna cook this on low for about 3 hours and then check them. They are fully cooked, so it's literally just taking them back from that frozen state. I'll probably stir them every so often to make sure everything's coated. And I'll be back in about 20 minutes once those carrots get cooked to add those in here so they can all marinate together. These are the onion rings that we are serving with it, just to show you. So this is a 14-ounce bag. This is the amount that we put on each of the plates. I'd say it's like, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 onion rings each. And this is the amount that's left. There's like 4 left. So I don't know, depending on how many onion rings you eat, this is kind of a small serving. We do have the barbecue meatballs though. I ended up storing them because we weren't gonna be eating until later and I didn't want them to like completely fall apart. John and I are both not like super hungry right now, so I'm just gonna do a little bit for each of us. We have a whole nother container of these meatballs though. So the meatballs are aplenty and the carrots are aplenty, but the onion rings are a little on the light side. Now I will say that you could do like a side salad with this, or if you wanted to, because this was part of BOGO, if you wanted to grab 2 bags and then just make it a whole night. I am just gonna drizzle a little bit of the barbecue sauce right over the, what are these things called? Onion rings. Kate, we're doing great. Okay, so we're just gonna drizzle, drizzle, drizzle. Just a little bit. My plating could obviously use a little bit, but I'm telling you, we're both not like super hungry, so I don't wanna go like overboard, but that is that. Okay, moving on to the next recipe, we're gonna be doing a cowboy pasta dish. And I'm just starting. The hardest part of this is just getting some produce prepped. This is the only real difficult step. Everything else is pretty much just gather your ingredients, dump it, and go. It's all a 1-pan meal, which you guys know is my favorite. We are using some store-bought items in this one, which is not generally my vibe, but I think it's gonna be kind of fun in this one and make it for a fun, quick weeknight dinner idea. I am using some fresh produce to kind of liven it up a little bit, if you will. These steps would not be necessary, so if you want it even simpler, you don't have to do either of the things I'm doing right now. Also, I'm trying to stick to the BOGO items, but if you had some minced garlic, diced onion already on hand, that would be a great addition to this as well. We're cutting the grape tomatoes that I got during the Publix BOGO right in half now. And then I'm gonna move on to some mini bell peppers that I got during this trip. If you guys will notice, I have a new cutting board. The cutting board, you've probably seen it in a couple videos. One of my friends who started out as a subscriber on here actually mailed this to us, which was the absolute sweetest thing. And it's a stainless steel cutting board on one side, and then it's got a like plastic, not plastic, is it plastic? I don't know. It's a dual-sided cutting board. One side is stainless steel, so then that way there's not plastics getting into the food as I'm cutting it. I thought that was so thoughtful of her to send it to me. She knows I try my best to monitor the type of toxins we're consuming, so that was incredibly sweet of her. Thank you so much, Connie, if you are watching this video. The cutting board inspired me to finally step my game up and get myself a nice chef knife. And I had asked you guys for feedback on that a while back. Now, this whole time I was thinking chef knives were like $400. And granted, you can find chef knives that are $400. But this guy right here is a Victorinox. I probably pronounced that completely wrong. This was the one that I got the most comments saying to look into. And then when I looked into it, they're actually a very reasonable price for a chef's knife. So I figured it was worth going for. And John actually prepared some steaks for us the other night from Costco, and he used this and it sliced right through them like butter. So that's exciting. I don't know if chef knives are supposed to be used for produce, but it's gonna be an all-purpose knife for me whether it likes it or not, you know what I'm saying? I am a home chef, so I don't know what the etiquette is when it comes to chef knives, but that's what's happening over here. So I'm just cutting around the core part of the bell pepper and then just dicing it up. You could also just slice it if you want it to be even faster. But I kind of want it diced up kind of like a chili would be, but I'm not being super precise about it. So that was 3 little mini peppers. You guys almost let me forget about the most important part while I have the cutting board out. We have to cut up some kielbasa. Whoop. Tomatoes overboard. And I'm just gonna go ahead and get these in a bowl for myself so I can dump it at a later section. Wow, we are a mess tonight. I say tonight like this isn't a regular occurrence over here. That's gonna wait for me back there. Oh, another tomato overboard. And then I'm gonna pop this guy open. So this is a 14-ounce Polska kielbasa. This is fully cooked. I've never had this brand before. I don't know how to pronounce that, so I'm just gonna let you guys look at it. I don't wanna butcher a beautiful name. Anyways, I've never had this brand before, but I sent this over to my friend because I was showing her what I was planning to do in this video because I know she shops at Publix. And she was like, oh, I'm just gonna go run over to Publix right now to grab that because that is my favorite brand for kielbasa. So I am very excited to try it. So I'm just dicing this up into circles. The other option would be you could cut it lengthwise like this and kind of make more like moons out of it if you want it to kind of stretch a little bit further. The other thing with this cowboy stew is if you have like an extra can of beans on hand, you could feel free to toss that into this to make the protein count even higher. Okay, so chopping is officially done. Those were the 3 things we needed to chop. Now we're gonna go over to the stove. So the items that didn't come from Publix that I'm gonna allow in any of these recipes are some type of a cooking oil. I'm using avocado oil, salt, pepper, and whatever your favorite seasoning for that dish is. I'm using cowboy butter, which is kind of like a steak seasoning, and I think it'll be perfect for a cowboy pasta. In addition to the 3 other items that we just prepped for ourselves, I'm gonna be using some of this that was part of the BOGO. It's a marinara sauce. We picked up one that was plain and one flavored with meat, and I went with the one with the meat because it felt right for a cowboy situation. We're gonna be using cavatappi for the noodles. I think that'll be perfect. And then last but not least, we're gonna take a shortcut from a store. This has a bunch of fun stuff in it, and I think it would be perfect for this type of vibe. So we're gonna throw that in there. And last but not least, I'm putting some beef broth in there because I have plenty of beef broth because I use better than bouillon, but you could just use water. All right, going in with about a tablespoon of avocado oil, and then we've got the 14 ounces of kielbasa. A lot of people ask me about this spoon that I have because it has like a nice little rest on it and I love it. This is actually from Rachel Ray. It's a 2-pack. I will link it down below, but if you want to look it up on Amazon, it's just from Rachel Ray. I don't know that she makes the orange color anymore, but I know that there's like reds and blues and stuff like that. So I'm just gonna let this kielbasa heat up for a few minutes. It's already fully cooked, but I just want to kind of let it chill on its own, and then we're gonna add in some other elements. All right. Listen to that sizzle, you guys. Listen, there is nothing like bacon or sausage in a pan. Like that smell. Well, maybe garlic rivals it. Imagine garlic and this sausage. I hope you guys are doing that at home. Okay, look at that. She's a beaut clack. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get the peppers and tomatoes in now. I hope you guys can hear me over the sizzle of this. I tried to put the microphone closer to me, but I apologize in advance. I am now working on getting the bell peppers and the tomatoes just sauteed. I'm probably gonna go like 3 to 4 minutes. And then we're gonna just start adding in the liquid items, and hopefully it'll quiet down so I can talk a little bit more then. All right, much better, quieter now. So I just put in just shy of a 19-ounce can. This is the Campbell's chunky sirloin burger with country vegetables soup. It's like a stew vibe. And I also did 3 cups of beef broth, but again, if you don't have beef broth or veggie broth or chicken broth or a bouillon cube or whatever, just water is totally fine. Now this guy right here is a 45-ounce jar of marinara sauce. We're only gonna use about half of it. Okay, we're gonna stir that all together, and then I'm gonna get some salt, pepper, and the seasoning in there. I'm letting my heart guide me on the salt and pepper. And for the cowboy butter seasoning, which is like a steak seasoning, I'm just gonna use probably, I don't know, a teaspoon of it. But you guys can just kind of taste it for yourself and see if you wanna add more or less. Now, I started off on a high heat for this, but I kicked it down to a medium high heat now. And we are just gonna let this come up to a simmer, and then we will add the pasta once it does that. All right, friends, we've got bubble, toil and trouble. Is that what the saying is? In my little witch's pot over here. But this is simmering really nicely. It's got a nice rolling bubble. So we're tossing in this cavatappi. I'm going in with the whole box, which is 16 ounces or 1 pound. I was seriously like nervous that this was too much liquid, but now looking at how much pasta we have, it's actually probably great. So I'm gonna stir that in. We are going to let this come back up to a simmer, and then I'm gonna cover it and let it cook probably about 15 minutes until the pasta is nice and tender. All right, that got bubbling, so I'm just stirring it a little bit. I am gonna kick the heat down to like 5, which is like medium. And we're just gonna cover this and let it cook for 15 minutes. But I'm gonna stir it probably every 3 minutes or so. Okay, friends, we're in business here. The pasta is fully cooked. I turned this all the way down to low, and I'm just gonna let this cook for a little while longer, just to let that sauce thicken up a little bit. But for the most part, oh, this looks so good. I'm so excited to dig into this. If you have some Parmesan cheese to sprinkle over this, that would probably be delicious, or even like a Monterey Jack or a cheddar. But we are just going with this, and it looks so good. All right, guys, this is it all thickened up. Look at how perfect it is. It's got all the goodness in there. So we are gonna go plate this up. Okay, friends, if you hear some crunching in the background, that is Stella. She is eating her dinner, and I don't know. Just me. And John is swiping stuff on our floor. I'm not really sure what he's doing back there. Everybody say hi, John. Hi. He says hi. We are getting started on a prosciutto and pepper pizza. We're using some bell pepper. We have some cherry tomatoes over here, or maybe they were grape tomatoes, I don't remember. We're also using some of these aged cheese slices from Kerrygold, some of this prosciutto from Creminelli. These were both featured in buy one get one free crescent rolls. That's gonna be our pizza dough. And then I have some of the marinara sauce. We definitely won't be using all of it, but that'll be in there. In addition to the Publix items, I'm also gonna be using a little bit of avocado oil, some salt and pepper. And then for this one, we're using an Italian seasoning blend. I've been told this is pronounced aglio olio, so hopefully that is correct. And the other thing that we're gonna be using in it, which is optional, is gonna be honey. If you don't have honey on hand, that's not that big of a deal, but it's just gonna be like one extra thing. So that wasn't part of the BOGO. My rule for this was that I can use salt, pepper, seasoning, and some type of sweetener like a honey. My assumption is you have all of those things already on hand if you were to try and recreate a BOGO challenge. So I'm just gonna get these diced up roughly. I went with one of each color, so red, orange, and yellow. I'm not exactly sure how much I'll need because I'm not sure how big this pizza is gonna be. If I end up with a little extra, it'll just be part of other meal prep for the week. And then I'm gonna go ahead and lengthwise cut these in half. Probably about half of what I got over there. Okay, so I think that's a sufficient amount of the grape tomatoes. So I got about a cup of that and maybe a cup of bell peppers, I would say. That was the most difficult part about this. The rest is just gonna be assembly. All right, guys, so we have the crescent rolls. These are the Grands version. So my pizza crust is gonna be a little bit bigger. If I'm using regular crescent rolls, regular size crescent rolls, I should say, it'll be a little bit smaller. But we're just gonna roll these guys out. So this is a standard baking sheet, And I just have a silicone mat down. You could either just grease it or use some parchment paper. We're just gonna kind of pinch those seams together. Does not need to be perfect. Nothing in my life is perfect. And as I'm going, I'm gonna kind of create like what would be like a pizza crust. And you could make this like look more like a legit pizza if you wanted to by rolling this all out with like a rolling pin, but we're going for fast, right? So we've got like a little pizza rectangle going on here. I'm going to put some marinara sauce down. Probably gonna go with like 1/4 of a cup's worth, maybe a little bit more. We usually like a little bit more sauce. You don't wanna go too saucy because especially with something like this, sauce sounds great, but then if it gets too heavy, it's hard to kind of eat the pizza. You could always dip it in more sauce if you wanted to, but if you go too heavy on sauce, sometimes it can turn bad real quick. Okay, that looks great. Okay, next up, we're going to put some cheese down. Now, what would be a normal thing to do would be to have shredded cheese. But we're working with the BOGO, you guys. So we've got sliced cheese. Everything is gonna be fine. We're just gonna put down 3 slices this way. So I'll push that right to the edge like so. I'm gonna put like half a slice down here. And then we'll do half slices this way, and that should be good. So that leaves me with 3 pieces of cheese from the first package. And then we still have 1 more of these in the fridge that we will use in other recipes. Now we've got our pack of prosciutto, and I'm gonna use the whole pack for this. This is a, let's see, 2-ounce package of prosciutto. So it's got 5 slices of it. What I'm gonna do is just use some kitchen scissors and cut this into little strips for myself. And we're just gonna lay that down. And what's crazy is this came directly out of the fridge. It's not like I've had it sitting out on the counter a while. Once you cut it, you should stick it in the freezer for a couple minutes so it's easier to work with. But everything's fine. Some of them I'm just kind of like leaving like doubled up because it's so thin that even a double is kind of enough, you know? Looking good. Now we're gonna see how many bell peppers we want to put throughout here. This would be so fun to do with kids. Like this entire process I think would be really fun with kids. And then we're just gonna do some tomatoes as well. Okay, and then we're gonna drizzle with some avocado oil. I'm mostly gonna be focusing on trying to get those tomatoes. And then we're gonna go in with salt, pepper, and the Italian seasoning. Okay, this is gonna go into a preheated 375-degree oven. I'm gonna check it at the 12-minute mark, but it'll go up to 15 minutes if I need to. All right, and now we're just adding that little squeeze of honey, a little honey drizzle, if you will. I'm gonna let this chill for 5 minutes or so, let it kind of cool down, and then I'm gonna cut it up. Okay, my friends, this is a super simple one. Only like 5 or 6 ingredients, I think. We have the prosciutto. So we've got a 2-ounce package of prosciutto. It's got about 5 very thin slices in there. We have a can of crescent rolls. Now here's the thing. During the BOGO, we got the crescent grands option. So that's what you should be seeing, but I dropped it. So I had to switch it out with one I already had in my fridge. And then last but not least, I know it sounds crazy, but we've got some yogurt. And then, oh no, I lied. This is last but not least. Strawberries, almost forgot them. You are not the least, strawberries, we love you. So those are the 4 items that we pulled from the BOGO situation. The thing that we're gonna be adding in addition to this is I did use some cooking spray to spray down a muffin tin over here. And then we will be drizzling with a little bit of honey that we have on hand, but that's completely optional. This is gonna be very simple. We are gonna be making some little cups and we're gonna use crescent rolls as our base. So I'm just gonna pop this open. Whoa, popped. It was ready to go. Okay, and we're just gonna take each triangle and we're just gonna work it. How should I do this? Maybe I'll do like that. Yeah, that looks good. I'm just gonna kind of fold it over. It does not need to be perfect. We're just making little cups. So I'm gonna push that down a little bit and encourage a little cup. And this is gonna be kind of like a little sweet and savory moment. Would be great for breakfast because it's got some protein in there. But if you wanted to, you could also use it as a little snack. This could be an appetizer. This would be great on like a little charcuterie board, I would imagine. I feel like every single one of these I've done in a different manner. As usual, we're thriving. Which one did I grease? I greased you. Things over here always look a little bit more on the rustic side and I'm never mad about it, you know? So I'm gonna stick these in a preheated 375-degree oven for about 8 minutes, but I might end up going up to like 12. I just don't know with like crescent rolls, it's usually like 10 to 12 minutes, but I feel like in this form, it might cook a little faster. So I'm just gonna keep an eye on it and I'll update you. Okay, now while those cook up, what I'm gonna do is just prep our strawberries. So I need half of these strawberries for another recipe. I feel like this should be enough. I got this little chopper thingy on Amazon like forever ago. And I had seen a bunch of people using it online and I did not understand like how it made anything faster. But now that I've actually been using it, I'm like, oh, okay, this does really actually help with prep time on things like slicing strawberries. So the other thing that I found out is that the tops of strawberries actually have a lot of fiber in them. So I've been saving them for myself because I've been juicing lately. So I've been just tossing this part directly in my juice mixes. That way I get some like fiber and eliminate food waste. The other thing you can do is you could save this for yourself like in the freezer and add them to smoothies. So this little cup is like all filled up with sliced strawberries now. Okay, now what I'd like to do is get 8 pieces of prosciutto prepped for myself somehow. I think there's 5 slices of this, so what I might end up doing is just splitting it in half and then like a couple having a little extra. But I do want to kind of separate it for myself. The more it sits out, the harder it is to separate. Like that one's kind of a halfer, so I'm gonna put it with that other halfer. But essentially we're just trying to create 8 piles of prosciutto. I have a little measuring cup because what we're gonna do is kind of like encourage the crescent roll cup when it comes out before we let it cool for a minute. Look how perfect they look. So I'm just gonna take a thingy-ma-bobber. That's too small, huh? I'm gonna take a cookie scoop and just encourage a little cup there. You could probably also just use like a spoon. How perfect those little cups are. This is actually a great idea. You could use these cups for a variety of different things. Like imagine if you put like a little bit of ice cream in these and did like little ice cream cups. That would be a vibe. It's been a few minutes, so I'm just gonna scoop a little bit of yogurt in here. Like, I don't know, what is that? A tablespoon in each maybe? Okay, now I am gonna drizzle a little bit of honey on top of that yogurt. And then I'm gonna put some prosciutto. And I bet you guys could probably make these look prettier. You're probably far more talented than me. Looking like a vibe. These are cute, you guys. Like, can you imagine all the different things you could do with these little cups? Like, you could put cream cheese in there. I'm gonna start with like some bigger strawberry pieces. I think I'll just save these for the other purpose because I think these are adorbs. Oh, I missed one. Were you guys gonna let me miss that one? Be good friends. You have to tell me when I do that. 2 per. Gotta make it even. I mean, come on. That's adorable. This next recipe is gonna be a sheet pan meal. I was originally thinking I was gonna do something cute and do some skewers. So that's an option if you want something kind of really fun to do, especially like in summertime. I feel like doing skewers, kebabs is like such a vibe. But for this one, I wanted to keep it kind of simple. I have another bag of the 22 ounces of meatballs. These are frozen beef meatballs. And then I have another package of kielbasa. However, I want to use both of these in 2 different recipes. So I'm only going to take 1 link from the kielbasa and only half the bag of the frozen meatballs. I've got bell peppers and grape tomatoes on the side, as well as some baby carrots. So this is gonna be kind of, oh, and then we have the barbecue sauce is gonna be like our sauce vibe. So I'm just gonna pour like half the bag. About 25 meatballs went down there. I'm gonna go stick this in the freezer. Okay, and then we've got grape tomatoes are gonna go down. So see, like for kebabs, I feel like this would be a vibe. Baby carrots, I'm probably just gonna use half the bag because I feel like that would be excessive. A lot of water in these baby carrots. Woo. Didn't expect that. We got like a river over here. I'm just gonna cut these in half, except the skinny ones. I'll just leave the skinny ones. I just want them to cook as quickly as we can. Now this is a lighter option because there's not really like a carb with it. So they did have French fries, onion rings, things like that included in the BOGO. John and I are the type of people that sometimes we just want a light dinner without like potato or rice or anything. But if you wanted to, there was also plenty of leftovers of that cowboy pasta. So you could kind of serve this on the side of the cowboy pasta. We're also gonna be making like a meatball pasta dish. So you could just kind of combine efforts, but for us, this would be plenty. I'm gonna actually dice up both of the kielbasa because we're gonna use the other one in another recipe. So I'm gonna dice them both up. But this first one, I'm dicing it into these big chunks like this. So we'll get those on the pan. And the other one, I want it to kind of be finer. And to make my life easier, I'm just gonna store everything that we're prepping for other recipes right in this. I love these things because if you're like meal prepping a few different ingredients that are overlapping in another dinner that you just don't have time to get to, you can prep for yourself and then just grab it out later. This is like leftover grape tomatoes and bell peppers, so I'm just gonna combine efforts so it's all in one container for myself. And I'm probably gonna prep a little more bell pepper while we're here. Okay, and then I'm just gonna kind of dice those up into little chunks to spread throughout. The oven right now is preheating to 400 degrees. So if you're wondering why I've got like meatballs over here chilling, it's because I'm waiting on that. So I got myself some salt, pepper, the barbecue sauce, and I'm also gonna use a little bit of this cowboy butter seasoning, but if you have like steak seasoning, barbecue seasoning, anything like that would be fine. We're just gonna spread that out so I can evenly season it. I'm just gonna spray with a little cooking spray too. This is avocado oil cooking spray. And then we're gonna drizzle. So I'm using the Sweet Heat edition. We got 2 bottles during this extravaganza, and I'm only like gonna be down to a third of one of them. I haven't even opened the other because I didn't want to open for no good reason. Probably using, I'd say maybe a fourth a cup of the barbecue sauce. I'm down to maybe a third a cup of it, maybe a half a cup. And I'm just gonna season with the Kinders one more time. Let it get stuck on there. And just toss that a little. Oven is at 400 degrees. We're gonna let this cook for 20 minutes, then I'm gonna check it. If I need to, I'll go up to like 25, 30. It's mostly the carrots that are usually the stubborn ones. Everything else should cook relatively quickly, but if the carrots have a little snap to it, I actually kind of prefer that. John likes them to be softer, but I like them to have a little snap. All right, perfect. That looks amazing, and it was really just like dump and go. You know, chop, you could listen to an audiobook, listen to your favorite music. I love some Michael Bublé or some country heat radio, or even 90s country, or sometimes I'll put on Mariah Carey radio. That's another vibe. Okay, so anyways, this is going in the oven for 20-25 minutes. All right, guys. There she is, the beautiful meatball sheet pan meal. All right, so that is completely done. So like I said, John and I usually like kind of like a lighter dinner every so often where we just do protein and vegetables. But if you have rice on hand, this would be awesome to throw over rice. Or if you had like sweet potatoes or regular potatoes on hand, you could also dice those up and include it on the sheet pan to make it like a little bit heartier. And it looks like it's gonna have like 4 servings, so this will be dinner and lunch for tomorrow. Okay, so next up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some little snack options for ourselves using these BOGO items. The star ingredient is gonna be this yogurt. I have only used probably a fourth of this container, and this is a 24-ounce container. So I'm just gonna eyeball it and split it evenly between these 4 containers. One's gonna be like a sweet treat, and the other one's gonna be kind of like a savory moment. We're gonna do like a little dip for some veggies. Now for the yogurt parfaits in the front, we're just going super simple. We're gonna drop in some strawberries. I'd say it's like half a cup of strawberries per, but my estimation might be wrong. It might be a little bit more. I'm gonna just sprinkle a little cinnamon over this, and then I'm gonna drizzle some honey. But if you don't have honey, you could use maple syrup or just keep it plain with the strawberry sweetening, the yogurt. But there's our little cup of awesome. We're gonna mix together this barbecue. So I'm doing this barbecue sauce for this guy. This is the hickory bourbon, and they had a bunch of different variations. Stubbs is actually one of my favorite barbecue sauces. I'm just gonna do maybe 1.5 tablespoons and then see how that tastes. If you have like a packet of ranch seasoning, that would be a vibe in this, I think. Or even like a taco seasoning, if you wanted to kind of make it a little zesty. I'm just gonna add some salt and pepper, and I'm also gonna drop in a little bit of paprika, but if you had, like I said, taco seasoning, if you had chili seasoning, barbecue seasoning, whatever you have on hand, or if you just wanna do salt and pepper, the barbecue sauce is flavorful, you know, but we like to kick it up over here. You guys, that is a vibe. If you just want a little dip with your dinner, wow, this was a great idea, Kate. Okay, so now we're just gonna put some vegetables in. So I'm just gonna put some carrots in each of these, and then some bell peppers. If you had like cheese, if you had some like mixed nuts, you could make this like a whole little mini charcuterie board for yourself. But there we go, got a little snack pack and a little yogurt cup. So we got sweet and savory snacks taken care of. Okay, my friends, next up, we're gonna be making some barbecue fry nachos. I have this bag of McCain quick cook crinkle cut fries. I'm gonna dump that right on this baking sheet. The oven is getting preheated to 425 and we cook it for 10 minutes. I have about a cup of diced kielbasa. I also have a can of beef with country vegetables. What we're gonna do with this is we're gonna drain it and just use the actual contents. We've got some sweet heat barbecue sauce. I probably have about a third a cup left of it, maybe a fourth a cup. And then we have 7 slices of cheese. We're gonna see how much cheese we need to cover this whole thing. So I'm just waiting on the oven, we'll get that in, and then we're just gonna basically layer everything on there, pop it back in there. I'll get this drained up while we wait, and then it'll be a fun plate of fried nachos. We're gonna spread the can of soup that we drained over top. Gonna be kind of like chili cheese fries. Okay, and then we're gonna spread out the kielbasa, and I'm just gonna rip off the cheese. If you had shredded cheese, that would obviously be more ideal. And then last but not least, we're just gonna drizzle some barbecue sauce right down. And now this is gonna go back in the oven for like 5 to 7 minutes-ish until the cheese gets all melty. We have our barbecue nachos here. I will say this, if you happen to be like me and you like some sour cream, we have some of the plain yogurt left over, so you could do a dollop on your serving. This clearly serves 4 to 6 people, clearly serves them happiness. John,
this looks amazing.
John is very excited right now. I swear the Publix BOGO is like made for John, because all of the meals are like
John approved.
John approved. Okay, my friends, we have another 1-pan meal we're gonna be making. It's gonna be a cheeseburger pasta. We are gonna use up the remaining of this bag of meatballs. I think I've got about probably 20 meatballs in there. We're also gonna use some of the items that we prepped for ourselves earlier, which was, we had some leftover tomatoes and diced peppers, nothing too crazy. We are also gonna make use of 2 of the cans of soup. So we're gonna use this old-fashioned vegetable beef soup, and we're gonna use this sirloin burger soup, which makes sense for the cheeseburger vibes. And then we also are gonna use some of this cavatappi pasta. We're gonna use this whole box, 16 ounce. I'm gonna be using avocado oil, salt and pepper. I'm also gonna be using some burger seasoning. Well, this isn't technically burger seasoning, but all-purpose seasoning, whatever you have. I'm using cowboy butter because it's kind of like a burger vibe, and we're going for cheeseburger vibes over here. I also have about 1.5 cups of, what is this stuff called? Beef broth. And hold on, I just realized I forgot an ingredient. This is like an everything but the kitchen sink soup. We're gonna be throwing in, well, is it a soup? It's a pasta, whatever, you guys understand. We're gonna be throwing in a little bit of marinara sauce. This one is a beef marinara sauce, but in the BOGO they had options for what kind you could grab. To make it cheeseburger, we're gonna throw some cheese in. And then to kind of make it like tangy vibes, I'm just gonna stir in a tiny bit of some of the plain yogurt. Starting off, we're just gonna get some avocado oil down in my Dutch oven. You could just use any deep stock pot that you have. And then I'm gonna toss in the leftover grape tomatoes that have been sliced in half, and bell peppers. And I have the stove on high right now, but once my Dutch oven gets even a little hot, it starts to get a little ridiculous and aggressive. I'm gonna turn it down pretty immediately once I get it heated up. I kick that down to medium high, stirring in those meatballs. And I'm just gonna let this cook for just a couple minutes because we're gonna let the meatballs kind of cook in the sauce. All right, we're going in with both cans of soup. So these are Campbell's chunky soups. They were on sale in the BOGO, or they were part of the BOGO, I should say. These are almost 20-ounce cans of soup. It's gonna be like a cheeseburger chili pasta. Like I said, you know, sometimes it's just about throwing everything in there and seeing if it works. It's kind of fun to do stuff like this, you know, maybe like if you involve kids with coming up with creative recipes like this, I feel like it's just gonna be a vibe. So we're gonna let that cook for a couple minutes and then continue adding. All right, we're gonna do about a cup of the meat sauce. So I've got that cowboy butter seasoning, but whatever all-purpose seasoning you have, or if you don't have any seasoning on hand, salt and pepper. And then I'm just gonna stir that all together. Let that simmer a couple minutes. All right, so that hung out for a little while together. We're gonna add in that box of cavatappi, and we're gonna drop in that 1.5 cups of beef broth. But you could use water if you don't have beef broth on hand. I have the Better Than Bouillon beef base. Now we want this pasta to be fully covered with the water. So we just wanna make sure we push it down. All right, so we've got this hot tub bubbling. I'm gonna stir it real quick. And then I'm going to get the lid on, and we're just gonna let this cook for like 12 minutes. But anytime I do one of these one pan ones with pasta, I make sure to stir it every 3 minutes. So it sticks really easy, especially with my stove. I don't know what my stove does, but like the center always sticks. So every 3 minutes, I'm gonna go in and stir it up. All right, guys, so I went ahead and I kicked this down to low. Look at how delicious this looks. This is a lot of food. I would say this would serve like 8 people comfortably. I mean, maybe 6, but depending on how much you eat. This is a really cool pasta dish, I think. Little twist on some meatballs and pasta here. Okay, now we're gonna just stir in a couple tablespoons of yogurt, and then I'm gonna do like a tablespoon of barbecue sauce. Since I have it, why not? You know, this isn't everything but the kitchen sink moment. And then I have about 4 slices of cheese, so I'm just gonna stir that all in. I've got this on low. I'm just gonna let it kind of cruise together, let it thicken up a little bit, and then we will have dinner. If you had like relish you wanted to serve on there, put some bacon bits maybe, make it like a true cheeseburger situation. All right, you guys, let's discuss what we have left over from this BOGO. So we have barbecue sauce. There's probably about like 3/4 of a bottle left. And let's see how long it's good for. It's good until October 2nd of 2027. It says make sure to store it in the fridge after opening, and it doesn't have one of those things saying like you have to use it within 7 days. So that's exciting. We've also got a lot of jelly left over. This one, pantry staple, does not need to be refrigerated since it's not open. And this is good until March 7th, 2026. And then we have the open one. So if you've got some bread on hand, you can make some sandwiches, have some crackers with grape jelly. That's a favorite of mine. We've got some plain Greek yogurt. This expires March 22nd. So I have about 3 days to work through about 20 ounces of this, I'd say, which is totally fine in this house. Then we have 2 open cans of marinara sauce. I've got a little bit of meat sauce one left, a little bit of traditional left. This is good until January of 2026. It says to refrigerate after opening and use within 5 days. So that won't be a problem either because we eat a lot of pasta in this house. I do, however, wish that I had just only used one of these and kept the other in the pantry. So that was just a bad on my part, but basically we just have yogurt and sauces left over, which is, I think, really great considering how much we got out of this. This is a really easy snack, high protein. You can mix it into eggs, smoothies, can use it as a topping for sour cream, make dips with it. There's so many options. So anyways, that's all that remains from the Publix BOGO. I think we did pretty good. I present to you everything but the kitchen sink.
Wait.
Cheeseburger pasta.
Is that what it's called?
No, I just made that up because I was literally throwing everything but the kitchen sink in there.
Ooh, she's steaming.
Yeah, she's hot. I got to taste this, you guys. It's really good. Like, I feel like this is one of these things you don't even need a recipe because it's like you can just throw it together. Bro, I'm telling you right now. What? Take it away? You want to take it away? Put it down or you'll never leave it? Okay.
Okay, so that thing is like a hamburger helper. I don't know what it means. It means something.
Means happiness.
Happiness. That is like a homemade hammy
helper. We're gonna call it hammy helper.
I'm tired.
He had a long day at work.
It's like a homemade hamburger helper, but 10 times better.
To the 10th power.
To the 10th power.
Okay, so I'm gonna remind you of everything that we made in this video. The only thing you didn't get to try is the crescent rolls cups with strawberry, prosciutto, and Greek yogurt inside it with a honey drizzle.
Why have I not tried this?
It's in the fridge if you want to try it. Okay, so besides those, so you didn't get to try those, but we started off with I want to say the first thing we made was the cowboy pasta. So that was pretty much like this, a hamburger helper situation. You loved it. Which one do you think you like better, the cheeseburger one or the cowboy?
Cheeseburger.
The cheeseburger.
I don't know, I really like... Cheeseburger.
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 Okay.
Cheeseburgers are 10, the cowboy's like a 9.5.
Oh, good. Okay, we're getting ratings. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, now, then we had the barbecue and jelly meatballs that had those baby carrots and they had the onion rings on the side.
Those were a 9.
The meatballs themselves.
The meatballs themselves.
The onion rings were...
The onion rings were like a
5.
4.
A 4.
Onion rings
were not.
bad.
They were not a vibe. No, I would have preferred if they had the hash browns. That was the original intention, was to serve it with hash browns. I think that would have been good.
Sold out.
Yeah, sold out. Okay, and then we also had that sheet pan, which had like the meatball, the kielbasa, roasted vegetables. It had like the carrots, tomatoes.
9.
9. Okay. And then, well, I mean, that barbecue sauce, you can't go wrong.
And I
think
love
that's
the
the
sheet
biggest thing. Yeah, sheet pan meals are my favorite. We also had the French fry barbecue nachos,
which are also a 10.
They were a 10 to you?
Those are...
I agree. Actually, like, of everything, I think the nachos might be my favorite. The fries nachos. Yeah. I don't know if it's just because they were, like, a fun, you know what I mean? Like, mixing it up. Yeah, but true. Something about them, they're like a 10 for me. And then, last but not least, the prosciutto and pepper crescent roll pizza, like that flatbread situation. Yeah. That was good.
That was good. That was like an 8.5.
Yeah, because it was like kind of falling apart a little bit.
Yeah, it was a little hard to eat.
Yeah, but it was like tasty. The flavor, but just not like, it was just not, it didn't have good structure to it.
Yeah, it was just floppy.
Of everything, what do you think your favorite was?
I'm gonna go with the
cheeseburger pasta.
Cheeseburger pasta.
I don't blame you one bit. What do you think about this whole challenge? I mean, you didn't really have to participate much in the cooking, which is not normal because you usually do. But it's just the way our life was.
Yes.
Coach didn't put you in this time. No.
I sat on the bench.
Yeah, you sat on the bench.
I thought this was fun.
I thought it was fun too.
Because I feel like we don't typically buy a lot of like crescent rolls or French fries or onion rings.
Or canned soup.
Canned soup. Like we don't normally buy all that stuff, but because of this whole BOGO thing, I thought it was really fun how you integrated it all together. Yeah. And I got to benefit.
Yeah, you did.
I mean...
I think my thing is, from a nutritious standpoint, I don't know that the BOGO is the best.
I feel like we had some good vegetables.
I tried my best to incorporate, but the only vegetables that were part of the BOGO were baby carrots and canned green beans. That's it. Dang. So if Publix could step it up in terms of just like introducing a little more produce, because even when it came to fruits, it was just strawberries. So it's like if they could do 2 fruits and 2 vegetables. Overall, I think it is interesting to see because when I think of grocery budget shopping, I think of like Aldi.
Oh,
you know
what I mean?
And then like I love hitting up Kroger's sales.
Well, because I mean, if you go to a normal grocery store nowadays and don't shop the sale, it's expensive.
It's way too expensive. But I honestly think that with $80, I could stretch it further at like an Aldi or a Kroger and get more nutritious options. But this was just fun to try out. And
I think you just need to look at it like, if Publix is your go-to and you want to shop the BOGO, what can you do with that BOGO?
Yeah, and have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's just like a challenge. It's like a, what's that show, Chopped, you know?
Chopped.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, well, we're going to get that feedback over to corporate. Hey, guys, just wanted to pop in real quick because after I finished filming and we were all done with all of this, I realized that I had a bunch of leftover sauces, and the barbecue sauce is totally fine because it didn't have anything on there saying you need to use it within 5 days or anything. However, the Greek yogurt and the marinara sauce, the Greek yogurt is only good for 3 more days, and then the marinara sauce says once you open it, use it within 5 days. I know that's just a loose guideline, and I've gone way past that in the past. However, if you know you're not going to get to it in the next 5 days, one of the things that I was thinking about sharing with you is that marinara sauce freezes really nice. So if you open a jar of marinara sauce, even a store-bought one, you could put it in a container like this and have a little cube of marinara sauce for yourself for later. I love these little storage freezer cubes. I have one that's got like a 2-part, And then I have one that's like a full block style. But these I love because you can freeze it in here overnight and then pop it out into a reusable or Ziploc storage bag in the freezer. I like to also store my marinara sauce in either wide mouth mason jars or even those deli soup containers in the freezer. The only thing is just make sure that there's a little bit of a gap because the marinara sauce will expand. And then Greek yogurt, same thing. If you don't think you're gonna get to it in the next couple of days, a lot of people don't realize that you can freeze Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, all of that. Now, when you do thaw it, the consistency is a little bit different, but the taste really does not change. So I freeze Greek yogurt a lot when I notice that I'm not gonna use it up by the expiration date, and then just pull it out when I need it. So just a couple extra options. I will link these down below. These are not the name brand ones. If you guys know, there's like a name brand version of this. I was not spending that money. So I'll link these ones down below because I think they're great. Dishwasher friendly, and they're perfect for freezer storage. So that's that. Anyways, thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me. It means the absolute world to me. I hope we delivered whatever you needed when you clicked on that thumbnail, and I hope you have a magical day. Bye.